Good Monday morning, everyone. Happy Easter Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful long weekend and spent it exactly the way you wanted. I hope it was lovely and full of fun and laughter and family, or just a nice quiet time to spend some time with your favorite books or crochet. However you wanted to spend your weekend, I hope you were able to spend it that way. And I hope if you have today off that you have still got your feet up and possibly are even recovering from the weekend. Today, I thought we would stitch ourselves up a pair of fan stitch wristlets. I've got a pattern for this in the shop. And just a reminder, today is the last day of our Etsy anniversary sale. The whole shop is 20% off, including this pattern. So if you'd like to pick up something or a few somethings, then today's the day to do it. I love little wristlets or hands, like sort of fingerless gloves, little hand warmers. I love these. I also decided, since we recently made a Easter capelet, link in description box, that I would like a little something to match. I will be wearing my Easter capelet, which is a spring capelet. I'll be wearing that quite a bit in the coming weeks because it is still cool here and it is always going to be cool in the evenings. And I just thought a little matching pair of gloves to go with it would just be so darn cute. So I'm making this pair in the same yarn I used for my capelet, which is a Pound of Love by Lion Brand. Not sponsored, but thank you, Lion Brand. It's a Pound of Love, and I used the yellow color. I think it's called Lemon. Let me just check. Isn't that funny? I can't quite remember. So much of this. Honeybee! How could I forget that? It's the color Honeybee. So I've got quite a bit left over from having made my capelet. So I'm going to make a pair of matching gloves. You can, if you want, add a little bit of ribbon. Ribbon is the word I'm looking for. I had some purpley ribbon. This is very Eastery to go purple and yellow, and I just thought, why not? You don't have to add the ribbon, but we do a nice little kind of open work around the wrist area that is a nice little place to add some ribbon. If you're super girly and you want a little extra color or a little ribbon or something. Also, it's a nice way to tighten it up down the road if you feel that it gets a little bit loose on you. So if you're good at tying bows, hopefully you're better at it than I am, then you can make it look like that. It's really cute. Or you can thread it so that the bow is on the inside. You don't see it. You just sort of see this, a little bit of pretty ribbon running through the wrist part of your fingerless glove. So that's what we're going to make today. I've already got one made. They really don't take very long. It's the Fan Stitch Stitch. Fan Stitch Stitch. It's the fan stitch. Nice and simple. And I'm going to give you two different ways to make it. So this is a small, medium size. I'm also going to give you the large/extra large size, but we're going to talk about gauge in a second. You need around 85 yards, size 4, medium weight. This is acrylic, but you could use cotton, wool, blends, whatever you like. Scissors, yarn needle. I'm using a 4.5mm hook. This is also known as a size 7. You are going to want to have a few hooks on hand, depending on the yarn you're using, because you can fiddle with the yarn weight. And of course, if you're using a different fiber, that may also change the kind of nature of the weight category, because not all fibers act the same, not all weights act the same. So you can totally play with the hook. I'll explain how to get the right gauge in a moment, but that's the hook I recommend starting with if you're using a 4-weight yarn. And ribbon, it's optional if you want, but a little bit of ribbon, you can have that available too. And you don't need to make a right and a left. It's an identical pattern. So you just make two absolutely identical and you just wear them on whichever hand you want to. So it's a completely reversible pattern. Okay, let's get started here. I'm going to just scroll down my little pattern so I can keep an eye on things. A little bit of hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. I'm really glad you could. And let's go. All right, so I'm going to put my ribbon to the side, my scissors, my yarn needle. I will keep this out here. I'm going to keep my hook, obviously, and get my yarn ready to go. Okay, so there's two sizes. This is how you determine which size is best for you or the person that you're making it for. I use, start with your 4.5mm hook, make a slip knot, chain 24 to begin. So 24 chains. You're going to join with a slip stitch to the first chain. So don't twist your foundation chain. Join with a slip stitch to that first chain, pull up on your loop, and this is how you know if it fits you or not. You can get that over top of your hand and it fits somewhat snugly around your wrist. That's how you know it fits. If you couldn't get it on over your hand but it was close, size up your hook, keep the same yarn. If you got it over your hand easily and it's quite loose around your wrist, size down your hook. So go to like a 4mm, maybe even a 3.5mm. So go size down if you need to tighten, go size up if you need to loosen. If you were nowhere near getting this over top of your hand, it was way too tight, you couldn't even get it over the first few fingers, then same yarn, same hook, take out your join, add 6 more stitches so that you've got a chain foundation of 36. Then join with a slip stitch and try the whole thing again. If you're much closer this time, or if you're bang on, great, don't do anything. If you're, again, a little too loose but it's close, size down the hook. If you're a little too tight but it's close, size up the hook. So those are your two best options for this. You can also play around with your yarn weight. So if you want it to be a little bit looser but you don't want to change the hook or whatever, you can go with a slightly larger weight yarn, like a 5 or a thicker 4. If it's a bit on the loose side and you have, you know, sort of pretty DK or size 3 weight in the stash, you can try it with that. Use the same hook or size your hook up or down, like depending on what you need. So again, if it's too tight, try a larger hook, try a thicker weight yarn. If it's too loose, try a smaller hook, try a lighter weight yarn. If it's just too tight, period, try the 36 chains versus the 24 chains. All right, I hope we're all good with that. I'm sticking with 24 chains. I'll give you the counts for both the 24 and the 36 foundation chain to go forward. So whether you're making what I would consider the small medium, or maybe even the large, which is the 36 chains, doesn't matter. You can do whichever you need depending on your size, your measurements, or the person you might be making it for. So here we go. The pattern is the same regardless. You're going to chain 1 once you've joined that ring and you know it fits, single crochet in the same stitch as joining, and single crochet in each stitch all the way around. This is a nice opportunity to work over top of the short tail and get that woven in, so you have one less thing to do when you get around to finishing your glove. So single crochet in every single chain all the way around, and try not to change your tension too much. Make sure you're single crocheting over top of that short tail if you can. If you don't want to, that's fine, you can weave it in later. Hello, Caroline. Caroline with a membership milestone. Caroline's been a member for 57 months. Thank you so much, Caroline. Caroline says, Happy Monday. Enjoyed last week's Easter applique. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, we had a lot of fun last week. We made napkin rings, a whole set of them. And they're so cute. I was really enjoying them. I enjoyed making them with everybody. I've enjoyed looking at them all weekend. They're such a fun and simple little project. You can really switch up the colors and even the appliques that you put on those little napkin rings to sort of make better use of the themes that maybe you want to make them for, or just, you know, just the color, whatever you might have in mind. We're single crocheting in each chain all the way around, single crochet in the last chain. You will still have either 24, like the number of chains, or 36 if you made the larger set. Join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. You will have 24 or 36 single crochets. That is row 1 complete. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee, and here we go. We are going to use the fan stitch. But before we do that, a big thank you to Carrie. Carrie slipped in, gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Carrie. Congratulations, Jojo. Welcome back to the family. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go to the fan stitch. This is row 2. We're going to chain 3. Chain 3 at the beginning of a row does count as a double crochet. And into the same place you chain 3 out of, you're going to work 4 more double crochets. So a fan, for the purpose of this pattern, is 5 double crochets worked into the same stitch or space. 5 double crochets. And of course, a chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So chain 3 plus 4 double crochet equals 1 fan. And that is the first thing. That's the first fan. Here we go. You're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, single crochet into the next stitch. So the act of skip 2 single crochet is what anchors the fan, and eventually we'll be anchoring this side, but don't worry about that yet. Skip 2 stitches, 5 double crochet into the next stitch. So here we go. 5 double crochet, all in the same stitch. It is anchored on one side by that single crochet. Once you've worked 5 double crochet in the same place, skip 2 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch. So there you go. You've got a fan, and those anchoring single crochets are what makes that lovely fan shape. And here we go around. We're just going to keep repeating that. Skip 2 stitches, 5 double crochet into the next stitch. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch. Yes, if you missed the first part of our little demonstration today, I'm using a 4.5mm hook, also known as a 7. I'm using a 4 weight yarn, but like I said, size up or down your hook to get the right tension, size up or down your yarn even if you want to. And you're just going to have to sort of play with the hooks until you get the right tension. Skip 2 stitches and 5 double crochet into the next stitch. I'm not sure if the rerun works, but the rewind, I think they were talking about being able to make live streams slightly rewindable. Like you can go back 10 or 15 seconds and like it will still play out for you, but you're able to kind of watch a little bit reversed in time. I'm not sure if that's available yet. Maybe it's available in some places. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch. That will leave you with 2 stitches. You're going to find the top of the chain 3 that began the row and slip stitch to join. So if you had a 24 stitch base, because you're making the small medium, you'll have 24 stitches all the way around. Some of them will be double crochets, some of them will be singles, but that's 24 stitches. Likewise, if you did a 36 foundation chain and a 36 stitch row 1, you'll have 36 stitches around here still. The difference is you'll have, if you did the small size, you'll have 4 fan stitches all the way around, because 24 divided by 6 is 4. If you use 36 stitches, 36 divided by 6 is 6. You'll have 6 fans all the way around. So that's a base count of kind of 6. But the reason you can't just foundation chain any multiple of 6 is because you also need it to be a multiple of 4. And 24 and 36 are both multiples of 4 and 6, which means they work with this pattern. And anything smaller than that, anything longer than that is just going to be too small or too big. So that's why your options are 24 chains or 36 chains to begin, and why I say you really want to play with your hook size and your yarn weight to get the right gauge, because that's how this pattern works best. Typical with wearables, there's usually a gauge, and there's a reason for that. All right, here we go. That was row 2. Row 3, we are going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So slip stitch into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch. That will put you in the middle of a fan stitch. So that'll be the very middle double crochet of a fan stitch. Chain 1 single crochet in that stitch. So you're starting with a single crochet here. The reason that we're not starting over here is because we work a single crochet to end the row and we slip stitch to join to anchor that chain 3. So technically we've started we finished the row kind of at the top of a double crochet, so you don't really want to back up. You just want to keep moving forward. So that's why we are slip stitching up to the middle stitch of the fan, chain 1 single crochet in place, and now we do the reverse. We find the next single crochet, which is between 2 fans, double crochet 5 times into that stitch, and all of your fan stitches are nestled in between the fan stitches of the row before, which is what makes this such a nifty little pattern. So 5 double crochet, they're all anchored in the single crochet from the previous row. Skip 2 stitches, find the next stitch. It will be the middle stitch of a fan, single crochet into the top of it. Skip 2 stitches, find the next stitch. It will be a single crochet, 5 double crochet into that stitch. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So it's still technically the same pattern, 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2. It's just that you're looking for different visual cues. So 5 double crochet in the single crochet, skip, skip, single crochet in the middle of the fan from the previous row. I, for many, 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 many years, worked in an office that was crazy hot in the summer and crazy cold in the winter. So I got into the habit of making myself several pairs of pretty little fan stitch or just fingerless gloves and wristlets, just so I had a little something to put on while I was sedentary for most of the day and I was busy typing. Also nice to drive with if you have, you want to keep your hands warm, especially on those cold winter days, but you still want to have grip on the steering wheel. You can use your fingertips to grip the steering wheel. So I love these little things, and you can text with them. Skip the last 2 stitches, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet you made. That is row 3 complete. You'll still have the same number of stitches, 24 if you're making the small medium, or 36 if you're making the large size. A little sip of my coffee. Very nice, very nice. Okay, that was row 3 complete. Row 4, we're going to repeat row 2. So nice and simple. Right where we are, so we're in the top of that single crochet that joined to the last row, we're just going to chain 3, counts as a double crochet, 4 more double crochet in the same place. So we're starting this row with a fan stitch. So chain 3 plus 4 double crochets equals 1 fan. Skip 2 stitches, find the next stitch. It'll be the middle of a fan from the previous row, single crochet into the top. Skip 2 stitches, find the next one. It'll be a single crochet from the previous row and fan stitch, 5 double crochet into that single crochet. Once this pattern gets into your brain, and it does, that's why I love little fan stitch. That's what I love the fan stitch, but I love fingerless glove patterns because there are only ever a few rows and you can really plow through them really quickly. So they're a nice little thing to have in the make-ahead stash, especially if you've got friends who like these sorts of things. This is a very pretty little wardrobe accessory. You can experiment with the different yarns and hook sizes you use. We've got many different fingerless glove patterns now on the channel because I love them. I actually wear them quite a bit, and I have a lot of friends who like them too. Hello, Tiffany. Welcome to the family. Or welcome back to the family if you are returning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's my last fan. Skip 2, single crochet in the middle of the fan from the previous row, and skip 2, find the top of the chain 3, and join with a slip stitch. That is row 4 complete. Row 4 was a repeat of row 2, and you can really see that pretty fan stitch now developing. I really like that. It is just so, it's fancy without being too lacy. I don't know, I just think it's so pretty. Obviously you don't have to add the ribbon because it's quite pretty without the ribbon, but it's just adding the ribbon just gives it that little extra touch of fanciness. I do like fanciness. Okay, row 5. Row 5, we're going to do this. This is the little row that you can weave your ribbon in and out of, and it's just a nice little break in the pattern. So you can use it to put a ribbon through. You can also just leave it the way it is. It's just a nice little break in the pattern. So here we go. We're going to chain 3. The chain 3 in this case counts as a half double crochet, chain 1. Skip the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet in the next stitch, all the way around. Very simple. Chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet, and you're still going to have the same number of stitches. So you count your chain spaces as stitches, you count your half double crochets as stitches, obviously. So if it's 24 because you're making the small medium, you'll still have 24. If it's 36 because you're making the large, it'll be 36. Chain chain 1, skip the last stitch, find the second chain of the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, find the second chain, the one in the middle, join with a slip stitch. You'll still have the same stitch count all the way around. And it's just this little bit of kind of open work. And like I said, if you want to add the ribbon, that's the row you'll be threading your ribbon through. Easy peasy. That was row 5. Here we go with row 6. We are going to do a little increase now. So this is where we go from the area of the wristlet that fits us here to opening up a little bit so it gets, it's a little more comfortable around the meaty part of our hand, which is where that all-important thumb is rooted. So we are going to increase a little bit here. So we're going to chain 1 and into the same place that we joined, so that second of the 3 chains, 2 single crochet to start the row. Single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So that'll be space, stitch, space. Two single crochet into the next stitch. And single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. In this case, it'll be space, stitch, space. So 2 single crochet, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches or spaces. 2 single crochet into the next stitch or space, wherever you happen to land. Single crochet into each of the next space, stitch, space. 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Now, if you're making the large size, instead of 3, you're going to be doing 5. So 2 single crochet to begin, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches or spaces, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches or spaces. So for small, it's 2, 1, 1, 1. For large, it's 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Everybody got that? So it's a slight difference if you're making it for the large versus if you're making the small medium. So 2 single crochet, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches or spaces if you're making small, 2 single crochet, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches or spaces if you're making a large. Either way, we're all going to have the same number of increased stitches. So that's important to remember. We're going to go from 24 stitches if you're making small medium to 30, 36 stitches if you're making the large, up to 42. So we're all increasing by 6 stitches only. Two single crochet in the second or the third last, fourth last stitch, I guess, single crochet in the next space, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the last space, because remember you started the row in the top of a stitch, which is that chain 2. And remember, if you're making the large, you'll be 2 single crochet in the next stitch. You'll have 5 stitches left before you finish your single crochets. Single crochet in the last 5 spaces or stitches. We all join with a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet we made. And once again, if you're making small medium, you'll have 30 stitches now. If you're making large, you'll have 42. I'm gonna have a little sip of my coffee. That was row 6. So row 6 was our little increase row. It's the row right above that little open work, which is where you can run your ribbon if you want to. And that's the most complicated part of this entire pattern. So for rows 7, 8, and 9, we're going back to the fan stitch pattern. So row 7, we're going to repeat row 2. Row 2, we begin with a chain 3. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet. You're going to double crochet 4 more times into the same place to make yourself a fan. Skip 2, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip 2, 5 double crochet in the next stitch. And we're back to that familiar fan stitch pattern all the way around. If you're making the small medium size, you'll have increased your stitch count by 6. You'll still have 30 stitches at the end of this row, but you'll have 5 fans instead of 4. If you're making the large, you'll still have 42 stitches at the end of this row, but you'll have 7 fans instead of 6. skip 2, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, fan, all the way around. I like alternating between double crochets and single crochets. It's nice and simple. There's really not a lot of brain work to this pattern, so kind of once you establish the pattern, you can sort of switch to autopilot, I guess. Skip 2, single crochet. Now, if I did this right, looks like, am I off? I might be off a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I skip? Oh, no, that looks about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Now, why do I have an extra stitch here? She asks. Well, this is why I don't mind taking things out. I like to be as perfect as possible, so I need to have 30 stitches. So let me double check that I haven't missed anything. So I'm going to actually haul up on this and I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. I have 2 extra stitches. How did that happen? Probably I single crocheted twice when I shouldn't have. So you know what? I'm going to take that whole row out and redo it because I want it to work out properly and I want you to see it work out properly. Hi, Roni. Roni's been a member for 40 months. Thank you so much. Roni with a membership milestone says, love this pattern. Hi, Crochet Family. I like this pattern too. I just want it to work out properly. So I think this is a good opportunity for me to reiterate this whole increase row. You chain 1 after you've joined in the second of the 3 chains and single crochet twice in the same place. And you know what? I'm going to haul out my stitch marker for this. So I'm going to put my stitch marker on that first stitch. If you're making the small medium, you single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. It'll be space, stitch, space, space, stitch, space. Space, stitch, space, 2 single crochet, space, stitch, space, 2 single crochet. That's or at least 2 single crochet and then single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. They might be a chain 1, they might be a single crochet or a half double crochet from the previous row. So you want to keep track of that. If you're making the large, it's 2 single crochet followed by a single crochet in each of the next 5 spaces or stitches. So single crochet in the space, single crochet in the stitch, single crochet in the space. So that means if you were making the large, it would be again in the stitch and the space. Either way, you're always increasing on top of a stitch. 2 single crochet and then single crochet in the space, in the stitch, and the space. If you're making large, it would be again in the stitch and the space, and then you would work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. 2 single crochet followed by a single crochet in the next space, stitch, and space for small, medium, another stitch and space for large. 2 single crochet followed by 3 or 5. And then I will do what I'm always telling other people to do, and that's count at the end of this row. Now, why did this work out oddly for me? Let's find out. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, well I've got 30 here and I still have a couple stitches left, which tells me that I may even have messed up in the previous row. But I'm not interested. I'm not interested in going back and taking all that out and redoing it. So I think what I'm going to do is I want to have 30 stitches. So I'm going to take out these 2 and I'm going to single crochet 2 stitches together, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to single crochet 2 stitches together twice, and that should give me 30. So very likely I worked in an extra stitch somewhere in here. Doesn't matter. What I want at the end of this row is 30 stitches, come hell or high water. 42 if you're making, I should say 30 for the small medium, 42 for the large. And if you end up with too many, you can sneak a couple together by single crocheting 2 stitches together like I did. It won't affect anything, but you want that either 30 or 42 stitch count, depending on the size you're making. If you don't have enough, because for some reason you missed a stitch or something, you can sneak a couple in. Either way, at the end of row 6, you want 30 stitches for a small medium or 42 for a large. And this is how you cheat. All right. Back to the fan stitch. A repeat of row 2, chain 3, 4 double crochet in the same stitches joining. Being able to fix stuff on the fly, like if you take something out like I did, I took out a row, I'm like, oh, I must have messed up this previous row. If you take out a row and you try it again and then you get a slightly different outcome than the previous, if it's correctable within a couple of stitches, just correct it within a couple of, like either cheat them together or cheat in an extra one. Don't waste your time and your frustration levels taking out row after row after row, trying to figure out where you went wrong if it's just a matter of like a couple of stitches. It's just not worth your time. And if and a couple of stitches generally doesn't show. It's not like a small correction like that, you're not going to notice it. Certainly nobody else would notice it. I understand people who lean towards perfection. I'm from a family of perfectionists, which is probably why I fight back against that. I don't want to be a perfectionist. I don't want to feel the strain and the upset of it not working out absolutely perfectly, because what's the point? Are they still going to be cute? Yes. Are they still going to be wearable? Absolutely. So here we go. I have fixed it. I am now working on my last 5 double crochet fan. This row, whether you're making small, medium, or large, skip 2, single crochet in the next stitch, skip 2, and that will bring you back to the chain 3 that began the row. So it's the same for any of us. It doesn't matter which size you're making. You should have 5 fans if you're making the small, medium. You should have 7 fans if you're making the large. So there we go. I'm right, back on track. Rows 8 and 9, it's a repeat of the fan stitch, so we're going to repeat row 3. Row 3 has a slip stitching into the top middle stitch, or the middle stitch of this fan from the previous row. So you just slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. That puts you squarely in the middle of that fan. Chain 1 single crochet in the same place. So you start the row as a single crochet in the top of a fan, and then you skip 2. You're looking for the single crochet from the previous row, 5 double crochet into that, skip 2 single crochet, skip 2 5 double crochet, etc. Fan stitch, notably made by anchoring several double crochets with single crochets on either side. So fans can be any number of stitches. For this pattern, we're using 5 double crochet fans, but you're still anchoring them with a small stitch, in this case the single crochet. You have the same number of stitches at the end of this row as you did the previous row, so it's 30 for the small, medium, 42 for the large. And you have the same number of fans depending on how many you had the row before. So it's kind of a magical stitch in that regard. This row ends with a fan stitch, 5 double crochet in the last single crochet from the previous row. And then you find the single crochet that began the row and slip stitch to join. There we go. That is row 8. We've got row 9 to do another row of the fan stitch before we do our thumb hole row. So row 9 is a repeat of row 2. Row 2 begins with the fan stitch, so chain 3 counts as a double crochet, 4 more double crochets in the same stitch, and that is our first fan stitch made. So 5 double crochet, skip 2, that'll bring you up to the middle of the next fan from the previous row, single crochet into it, skip 2, 5 double crochet. Repeat all the way around. You'll still have the same number of stitches at the end of this row as you did the previous row. And you should notice, now that you're a few rows above the row of increase, that your fingerless glove has expanded a little bit. So not only have you added, obviously, you should see the addition of the extra stitches, but you should see the actual widening of it now. It should be kind of visual. This is where the widening of it goes around the meaty part of your hand. So 5 double crochet, single crochet to end, join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. Let me get that nice and firm there. That is row 9 complete. And if I flatten it, you can see it. So this little bit of open work is the part that goes right here. If you want to run your ribbon through it, that's where it goes. And then it opens up so that this area is a little more comfortable. I'll put it on and I'll show you. So this is how it looks on. Again, you can add the bow or not, depending on how you like it. You can have it also so that the bow ties down here if you do want the ribbon, but you don't want the bow at the back. It's entirely up to you. But that's widening. That widening part is just above the open work, and that's what makes the meaty part of your hand a little more comfortable. And this is a little more fitted to the wrist. So it's a nice little shape. All right. That was row 9. Let's do the thumb hole row. So row 10 is where we start for the thumb hole. It's the same whether you're making it for the small medium or the large. So it's the same. It's just that you guys who are making the large version will have some extra stitches you'll just be finishing the extra stitch towards the end, but the actual directions are exactly the same. So here we go. We're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches because we want to start in the middle of a fan. Chain 1 single crochet in the same stitch. So we're starting just like we would a row 3 of the pattern. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 5 double crochet into the next stitch. So very familiar so far. We start with a fan in that single crochet from the previous row. So 5 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 3. So we all do this. We all chain 3. We're going to skip an entire fan. So skip all 5 of those stitches. That brings you up to the next single crochet. So you're skipping an entire fan and you're going to work 5 double crochet into the next single crochet. So chain 3, skip a fan, and then 5 double crochet into the next stitch. So you're basically working a full 5 double crochet fan, chain 3 instead of skipping and single crocheting. So where you would normally single crochet here in the middle of that fan, you chain 3, you jumped over the entire fan, 5 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we resume our regularly scheduled fan stitch pattern. Skip 2, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip 2, 5 double crochet in the next stitch. And you're going to repeat that familiar fan pattern for the rest of this row. All we did was create a little space for our thumb. Skip 2, single crochet. Skip 2, fan stitch. Skip 2, single crochet. Skip 2, fan stitch. Skip 2, that brings you back to the single crochet you began with, and slip stitch to join. So this is the thumb hole row. We have now created a little thumb hole for ourselves. So for example, this is going to be my right hand. So I'll just slip this on. And And that's how this looks without the ribbon in it. So you can sort of see there's my little open work all the way around. It's cute whether you want to add a ribbon or not. Kind of sits across the fans. And this is where we extended, so we've increased, and now we've got a nice sort of fitting area that's slender along the wrist, and then it opens up to kind of cup the larger part of our hand. That's our thumb hole. So thumb hole row is done. That was row 10. It's the same pattern for everybody, whether you're working the small or the large. It's just if you're working the large, you had a couple more fan stitches to finish at the end of the row. Either way, at the end of row 10, if you're making the small medium, you'll have 32 stitches because we made 2 extra chains in here for the thumb hole. You'll have 44 stitches if you're making the large version. So those extra 2 chains, change your stitch count by 2, but we're going to get it back here for row 11. Row 11, chain 3. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet and 4 more double crochet into the same stitch. So we're starting with a fan. So that's 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet into the next stitch. And now you're going to skip 3. So instead of skipping 2, you're skipping 3. What you're looking for is that chain in the middle of the chain 3, and you're going to work 5 double crochets into that chain. So you're skipping 3, 5 double crochet into the next stitch, which is the middle chain. Skip 3 again, because you've got that extra chain there, skip 2, and then you're looking for the middle stitch of the next fan, single crochet into it, and you're back to normal. So we've kind of recaptured that little extra space that we gave for our thumb. We've closed it back in now, and now you're back to your usual fan stitch pattern. Skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, and so on. Looks like some of you are feeling not so great and some of you are feeling okay. I hope if you're recovering from anything, you're feeling better and getting stronger. I know a few of you haven't been feeling well lately. It is not a nice time of year to be sick, but then I guess it could be argued that it's never a nice time of year to be sick. What counts is that you're still here. You're here, you're getting better, and you're thinking positive thoughts, because how can you think negative thoughts if you're crocheting? I just don't think it's possible. Think happy thoughts. Hook, 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 happy, happy, happy. Single crochet into the last stitch, skip 2, and slip stitch to join at the top of the chain 3. I once read something, have a lot of members of our families, both of Mr. InStitches and I have had cancer, dealt with cancer, so lots and lots and lots of cancer running through the family. I'm sure most of you probably have similar situations because cancer seems to affect everybody. And in a lot of the literature I've read, there was something that reoccurred frequently, and it was look good, feel good. Not to be all about aesthetics, but the idea was that if you take some time to sort of like put on some clothing that makes you feel good, put on some clothing that you like, put on, put on some makeup, whatever the case may be. If you try to make yourself look a little better in the way that you like, it'll make you feel better. It'll help you feel better. It'll help you feel like you look a little bit more, feel a bit more like yourself. And I love that sentiment. I love the idea of basically just taking some time when you can and spending it on yourself, putting a little bit of attention into, I'm putting on my favorite socks today because they make me happy. I'm wearing this pretty pair of shoes around the house because I never wear them out, but they're really pretty. I'm going to wear them because they make me happy. It's that same thing. I love little fingerless gloves for that purpose. Sure, you could make them very simple because all you're doing is keeping your hands warm. But what says that, it doesn't have to be pretty? Because every time you look down at your hands, it makes you happy. So I like to make pretty stitch based gloves and wristlets. I like to use really pretty soft colors, and I like to have them in different colors to match different outfits, because when I look at my hands, something I do a lot if I'm working, it makes me happy to see something pretty. So I kind of think like that. If you're not feeling well and you have the energy, then making yourself a little something to perk yourself up, to look at that makes you happy. It doesn't have to be something to wear necessarily, but looking at something that makes you happy is good for your health. So there. That was row 11. We are back down to 30 stitches for the small medium, 42 stitches for the large. And here we go. Row 12, we're repeating row 3. Row 3 starts with a slip stitch into the next 2 stitches so that we begin in the middle of a fan. Chain 1 single crochet in the same place, and off we go. Skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2 single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2 single crochet, and so on. To be clear, no, Vima, neither Mr. InStitches nor I have had cancer, but many, many members in our family and our extended family have, which is why I've come across a lot of that cancer literature. That's all I'm saying, is that I've sort of read bits and pieces here and there, and I liked the sentiment of look good, feel good, or look good, feel better. I like that. I think it's just something that everybody should remember from time to time. It's easy to not feel well if you are actually afflicted with something, or if you just feel really, really down. It's important to take some time for yourself and, you know, do something that makes you feel good. Sometimes that is dressing up or putting on some makeup or doing your hair. Sometimes it's just, you know, cleaning up a little corner of your house or something like that. Little me time activities don't have to be just necessarily sitting and crocheting. It can be doing something that just, you know, you look at and it makes you feel better. It makes you feeling better puts a smile on your face, and putting a smile on your face reduces dopamine, and dopamine helps you feel better. And if you feel better, your stress levels go down. And if your cortisol levels go down, your healing levels come up. It's all tied into each other. So it's important to do things that make us feel good. All right, that was the end of row 12. Row 13, repeat row 2. So we're going to chain 3 to begin. Chain 3 counts as double crochet, 4 more double crochet in the same stitch. That gives us our first fan. We're going to repeat this all the way around. We are very close. There are only 14 rows in this entire little pattern, so each mitt is exactly the same. Skip 2, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip 2, double crochet 5 times in the next stitch. There's 14 rows in each glove, and they are identical. You do not have to make a left or a right. It is a fully reversible pattern. It's a very calming little pattern because it is such an easy repetition. Join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. That was row 13. We have one more row to do, so just double check to make sure you've got the right number of rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you're counting a fan stitch, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You're bouncing back and forth because the fan stitches all tessellate. So the fan stitch from in the next row will be nestled in between the fan stitch divot from the row before. So your first row was single crochet, and then a row of fan stitch, a row of fan stitch, a row of fan stitch. So that's 4. A row of open work, that's row 5. Then you have a little row of single crochet in there above that, which is where we increase, so we gain some stitches. That's row 6. Then we're back to the fan stitch pattern, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And your thumb hole row is a row of fan stitch. So don't worry about, looking for that. You're just looking for the open work, that's 5, a row of single crochet, that's 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Row 14, nice and simple. You're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So chain 1, single crochet in the same place, and single crochet in each stitch all the way around. I find that you might want to crochet a little tighter here. If you have trouble tightening up on your tension, just switch to a slightly smaller hook. The only reason I say that is that it will help to kind of snug in the top of your mitt. Now, if you have tight tension, you probably don't need to do this, but just crocheting a little bit tighter snugs up the top of the fingerless glove a little bit. It will loosen with wear, so it's just kind of nice to start with it a little tighter, knowing that it will loosen up as you wear them. So I like to do that. It's a little trick that I use, but like I say, if you have tight tension, you may not need to do this at all. Tammy's wondering what yarn I'm using. I'm using a Pound of Love by Lion Brand. It's a size 4 medium weight acrylic, but you could use cotton, wool, blends, anything you like that feels nice against your skin for these. And I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook, but you want to size up or down required based on your own tension. And join with a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet you made. You can fasten off row 14, that is it. Weave in your tail. You can also size up your yarn weight if you wanted to use a thicker weighted yarn, but you might need to size down your hook. You could also size down your yarn weight to like a DK weight, like a size 3 lightweight yarn, but then you might need to upsize your hook. So the whole thing is dependent upon your foundation chain ring fitting around your wrist, the whole thing. So you chain your foundation chain, join with a slip stitch, and then try it on. And that whole process tells you whether you're too loose, too tight, if you need to go sort of like use a larger hook to get a looser tension, tinier hook to get tighter tension, or whether you need to change the stitch count altogether. So I say start with the small medium stitch count, which is 24. And if that is just too small, no matter what you do, hook, yarn, whatever, then switch up to the large size, which is 36 foundation chains. And there's only like very tiny little changes to the pattern, depending on the size you make. So 2 options, but you can really fiddle with the hook and yarn weights. It's kind of a neat way to use up some scrap yarn because you really don't need that much. Like 85 yards max, probably even less than that, but I always like to err on too much. There we go. And I'm just gonna travel back a little bit. Now, you do not need to add ribbon if you are not into that, or you don't have any in the stash. That little bit of open work is just kind of pretty and runs around your wrist. But if you want to add a little bit of ribbon, I will show you how I do it. And you can feel free to add it if you like. Not everybody's into ribbon. I am not the best at tying bows. I'm sure there are members of the community out there who are way better at it. But I do like a little bit of extra ribbon. I did it so that the ribbon ties at the back. So this is my left mitten. This is going to be my right mitten. So I'm going to try my right mitten on. There's my thumb hole. There we go. So that works just fine. I want to put my ribbon in so that the bow tie is here. So I'm going to start by threading the ribbon through the bottom middle opening. So I leave it this way, knowing that that's the underside of my wrist, and I grab my ribbon. Sandra's asking, how is Penelope? Penelope is just peachy, thank you. She's just lovely, lovely little pup. All right, I like to thread my ribbon. I don't cut it necessarily. I can do all that later. I thread it through my yarn needle, and I go down through the first stitch, or space, I should say, in that open work row, out through the next, in, out, pull a little bit of ribbon, in, out, in, out. This is such a fast way, provided your ribbon doesn't fall out of your, your yarn needle. It's a much quicker way to weave it through than just trying to do it with the bare ribbon end itself. So I just kind of quickly zip it through. Wow, it really wants to unravel on me today. This is kind of luck I'm having. And then out through the same place or out through the one next to it, however it works out for you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to make sure that my ribbon is mostly flat all the way along. There we go. Nice and flat. And I definitely want some available so that I can use it to tie a bow. I'm going to make sure that it hasn't tightened. So I put this back on because it's very easy to tighten up the wrist area, and I don't want to do that. So that's probably enough. There we go. So that's probably enough. I will snip it on an angle so that it doesn't want to fray, but you can also run the very edge of your ribbons, especially if they're acrylic like this, over a candle or a lighter just really quickly, and it'll just kind of like melt the edge and it won't want to fray on you. Then I take the two ends and I just give it a very light tie. I don't tie it so that I don't squeeze it or compress the ribbon. And then I just tie a bow, and then I tie the bow again because I want it to be snug. Alternatively, you could just tie it once and with a needle and thread go through the middle of it, and that would stop it from untying. But you can also just tie it again. This doesn't look maybe as neat as using the needle and thread, but it will stop it from wanting to come undone. And there we go. So did I do this? Did I do them both the wrong? You know what? I did them the wrong way. Wow, I am just having a day with you guys, aren't I? I did this one to come out the bottom so that the tie would be here as opposed to the other side. Can you tell it's Monday and it was a long weekend? Your girl is just at all 6s and 7s. All right, let's redo this. Okay. If I put this on, here's my thumb hole, it's my right hand, I want the bow on the back, I need to go through the back. Hello, Jayda. Welcome to the show. Thanks for waking up and drinking a cup of coffee. In and out, in and out. So funny. I had absolutely zero problems making the other mitten. All right. And now back out through the same place. I'm going to make sure that both my ends are even, and then I want to make sure it hasn't flipped on me, so I'll just go through here with my yarn needle and twist the ribbon if I need to. Little tiny adjustments. There we go. Okay. Yep, not twisted. Very nice. Same little thing. I'm going to tie a little bow It's on the right side of the wrist this time. There we go. Fairly neat and tidy. I will just put this down here and I will tie it again. Victoria's right. We are just humans. Honestly, guys, I enjoy making mistakes because you don't learn as well if you do everything right all the time. If you make some mistakes, you definitely learn something. And if I make mistakes with all of you, well, hey, it's just a good learning opportunity for everybody. You can say to yourself, well, Jayda made an error here, so I will avoid that pitfall. It's also good to be able to show you, little tricks. For example, sneaking in a stitch or hiding a few stitches. Either way, I now have a matching pair of fingerless gloves. Little wristlets, very Eastery in my yellow and lilac, but very spring-like too. I just love spring colors. I am so happy that it is the right time of year to bring these out. I kind of dream about little pastels all year long. They just make me so happy. Again, you can tie your bows once and stitch the middle with some sewing thread just to make them look a little tidier. You can completely avoid them. You can have ribbon running through it or not. You can have the bows on the back or on the underside, depending on what you like. You could even run some beads through there if you were so inclined. Beads on a little elastic string maybe, so they kind of like move with your glove when you put them on and take them off. Lots of ways that you can make these yours, prettier or simpler, however you like. And they are a comfortable, warm little thing to add to your spring or fall wardrobe. And I made them in the color Honeybee to match my Easter capelet. So now I've got a nice little set to wear. This pattern is available in our Etsy shop. Etsy shop is linked in the description box down below. Today is the last day of our Etsy anniversary sale. The whole shop's 20% off, so if you want to pick up something, please feel free to do that today. It's a good day to do it. And thank you so much to everybody who've popped in over the Easter weekend and picked up a pattern or two or a few and included us in your crafty plans. I really appreciate it. And so does Mr. InStitches, and so does Penelope. Penelope's being very good. I can hear that she's not making any barks or whines, so that's very nice. She's growing up. They do that. Oh my goodness. All right, everybody. Once again, if you have any questions about the gloves or, how to put them together, we will leave comments in the comments section. I do try to get to comments as often as I can. You can also pop into the Etsy shop and ask me about the patterns there too. I'm happy to help as much as I possibly can. If you make a pair, I'd love to see a photo and I'll share it on the posts tab so everybody can see it here on the YouTube channel. And past that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend. If you've got today off, wonderful. Happy Easter Monday. And if you don't have the day off, I'm glad you were able to pull some time out of your Monday and spend it with me. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Have a great week. We will see you Friday. And until then, stay safe, stay crafty, stay beautiful. Do something that makes you feel good and you will feel better. Especially if you're battling something right now. We all are kind of battling a little something. So I really hope that a little bit of crochet helps mend you, or at least puts you on the right path to healing. Crafting in general does that. If it puts a smile on your face, it'll put a song in your heart. So on that note, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you really soon.